because this might be the inner chronicle of what we are, and we have to articulate ourselves, otherwise we would be cows in a field.
Welcome to Cows in the Field. This is a show in which we discuss philosophical themes in popular films. My name is Justin.
I'm Laura.
And today our movie is Uncut Gems.
How you doing, Holly? How's it going? How are you?
Good Pesach out.
All right, Larry, you're a Jew again. Welcome back.
I made a crazy risk, a gamble, and it's about to pay off.
So I want the Celtics to cover. I want the Celtics halftime. I want Garnett points and rebounds.
What do you know?
I don't know. I just know.
Well, I'll tell you what I know. It's the dumbest fucking bet I ever heard of.
I disagree. I disagree, Gary.
Our guest today is Andrew Overbye of the Authorized Novelizations Podcast. You heard him here last talking about Flatliners. Welcome back to the show, Andrew.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to be back to discuss my favorite film.
This is your favorite movie?
Wow, okay.
This is my all-time favorite movie. I'm not embarrassed to admit that my favorite movie is from the last 10 years.
That's
Sometimes
great.
new stuff is good, and this movie fucking cooks.
This time watching it, I was like, I think this is the Safdie brothers' best film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really kind of taken by it. Whereas the first time I saw it, I was like, yeah, I feel like that they're kind of doing more of the same. But I think they've
You were like, I saw a
crystallized
good
it.
time. Like, this has kind of got the same beats.
But they really crystallized it. Andrew,
Yeah.
tell us something. I mean, given that this is your favorite movie, I don't even know where to begin. But tell us something you love about the film.
Okay, so this is both my favorite movie and the movie I was most excited for before it came out, like of
Wow.
all time.
Wow.
So essentially, when I was, 26 or so, Good Time comes out. I'm just going to the movies all the time, seeing whatever the heck in Chicago. And I went not knowing anything about it. And I left just thinking, aside from the amazing performances, the amazing score, whatever, this Ronald Bronstein guy who they're writing their scripts with is incredible.
Yep.
Like, that Good Time script is so inventive, and it really just there are twists in it, right? There's some pretty big twists, but also it just goes wherever the story naturally follows,
Yep.
right? So there's these crazy developments in Good Time, like, we are impersonating this security guard. I guess the next step is let's go to his house and live there for a while or whatever. Like, and I just thought to myself, like, I watched that movie, 10 times or whatever between Good Time coming out and Uncut Gems. And I knew about Uncut Gems because the Safdies had been talking about it for, I started reading their older stuff, and they'd been talking about it for years. It was always their big dream project. And I believe Good Time had gotten made because they brought in Pattinson to talk Uncut Gems stuff. And then they were like, it's a bad fit, but we really want to work with you. And they sort of made a movie from scratch.
I see.
I was very aware for the 2.5 years between Good Time and Gems that Gems was coming. I was very aware that it was one of these Adam Sandler does drama movies, which I'm not a Sandler guy in general. And I think his attempts at drama are hit or miss. But I was like cautiously optimistic. I was like, but what if it's positively amazing? And I guess I'll sum it up by saying that I feel that Uncut Gems captures something really essential about the American rage that has led us to the current American moment.
Oh, that's very intriguing. Let's go with that. So I imagine one aspect of what you're getting at is the character of Howard Ratner and the bundle of energy and chaos that he is. But tell us a bit more about how you see this film presaging the current moment.
Right. So I should say I am a recovered alcoholic, which has some bearing on my enjoyment of this movie. And I think that it's been years since I got sober, but as time has gone on, I've started to recognize more things about like my struggle with addiction in regular culture, or things that like the Overton window is moving to deem regular. And I would say like sports betting is one of them, right? I was never into sports. I still, 7 years on, loving this movie, watching it a million times. I don't care about basketball. I don't know about basketball. I don't know any of that stuff.
Okay.
But I can recognize, looking at this movie, that like the impulses of the Howard Ratner character are so real. It's so evident that is where he gets all of the juice from life, right? Like we all do it. We all choose sort of like what it is that we're like after. And he experiences like true happiness from these sort of like chance winnings. And I think, God, I want to say this correctly. I feel like there's been this ridiculous swing in the last 10 years or so towards this attitude that already existed in business, which was like, if I'm risking my money, I'm doing the hard work, right? Like if I invest in something, I'm doing the hard work. I think is now also people's attitude in their sort of like personal finances, where they're like, I'm the important financial moves I'm making are just like risking money. And I think that it's essentially moved us as Americans away from the feeling of tactile work and what it means. And I feel like this movie beginning with, the scene at the Whalo mine, which is not just about recovering the gem so that they can get it out of there, but also about showing how much it actually sucks to be working in this place, is so crucial, because I think the movie is making a commentary on how, whether it's sports betting or whether it's trading stocks or whatever, that we've basically just come to see all of like the important work that we're doing as the money we're risking, as opposed to like the actual work.
Yeah.
And of course, sports betting in and of itself is like, I'm going to try to profit off of excellence I assume these other people will do.
Yep. No, this is here's a way of putting, I think, what you're getting at, which is that this is a Ratner, and what the drive of the kind of the work is in the risk is an elevation of the capitalist, that is the capitalist class, the investor, the person who sits with money, with wealth, with capital resources, and what they do, which is basically move it around. And of course, what are they doing but profiting off of the labor of the people who, like KG or the miners or whatever, the people who are actually doing work? They're just sort of on the skimming off the surface. And the gambler is, in some ways, no different. And Ratner doesn't see himself as any different from the investor, from the Peter Thiel, or this class of venture capitalists these days that like run, and have run our society, because they sort of see themselves as like these oracular visionaries of the future, picking winners and losers. And I think, that's really interesting. I had not put that connection that like Ratner is an embodiment of capitalism in this film.
What'd you pay for this? Real shit. What'd you pay for this right here?
That's not a fair question, Kevin, all right? We're talking months and months of fucking my
I'm
time.
not gonna take the money back when I did the deal now. I'm just saying, straight up, me and you, mano a mano. How much you pay for this?
Fucking, what I paid I'm telling you, if I answer that question, it's very misleading.
Why?
I paid $100,000, okay?
So you doubled your money.
I'm the joke here, all right? I got fucked. $1 million is what I was supposed to get. I get a fucking what? Made 65 G's?
You gave some niggas from Ethiopia $100,000 for something you thought was worth $1 million. You don't see nothing wrong with that, Howard?
Ethiopian miners, you know what these fucking guys make? $100,000's 50 lifetimes for these fucking guys.
$1 million is more, it's my point. You understand?
If you want to win by 1 point or fucking 30 points, KG, right? I see you out there when the fucking stadium's all booing you, you're 30 up, you're still going full tilt.
the other aspect of it that you're getting at that I think is really interesting is the dimension to which the capitalist in our society has been elevated to the sort of forefront. And I think, why is that? And the movie, if it, the movie's portrayal of Ratner, at least the way in which I find it very interesting. So this could carry over to some kind of explanation as to why we've now culturally elevated the capitalist. I mean, I should just be clear when I say that, like, for large parts of of the history of this country, but other liberal democracies, they've had an uneasy relationship with capitalism. I mean, this is a country that had 100 years ago a communist party. I mean, it was like a legitimate position to take in America that you would be anti-capitalist, and we've gone through various iterations of Gilded Ages where and New Deals and so on, but currently people and I should just flesh this idea out. Those capitalists, like in the Gilded Age, the reason we even remember any of their names is because they made Rockefeller Plaza, they made Carnegie Mellon.
Because of their philanthropic works.
Yeah, their philanthropic works.
Yeah, because they had art collections they shared
and part
with
of the
us
reason they did that was because they were worried about being hated by the populace. And so they did these good deeds to sort of show that they cared about the social good and the social fabric. And what we currently are, the situation we're currently in, is you've got the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, who, as far as I could tell, has no big signature philanthropic projects. Like, he bought Twitter instead. He just does things to enrich his own life. And this is the thing we elevate currently in our, in the society as like the pinnacle of success or whatever. And now there is some backlash to Elon, but but it does feel like, and with Donald Trump as president. Anyway, so those were some of the things I think you were getting at, Andrew. Go ahead.
No, I completely agree with you. I mean, I think the Elon comparison is important because, absolutely, we've lost this sense of capitalism exists as an end to living, right? Like, or as a means to an end of living, where it's like, it's great to make money so that we can have great things like art. But now it feels like the American dream has become, can I become so successful that I completely abstract myself away from any sense of tactile work? And it's enough for people to look at a person like Elon Musk, who, by the way, yes, richest man on earth, but, we live in an age where the richest man on earth is decided by valuations of companies and things like that. So it's like we're celebrating a man for being the understood richest man on earth. We see that you have the most money potential in addition to having like a ton of money. I feel as though the thing with Kevin Garnett is really, really important to the story because when he looks into the gem towards the beginning of this movie, what does he see but essentially a record of Black history and various moments of struggle, right? And that is like, while he's looking into it, Howard Ratner's giving this like annoying, really annoying, because he's super annoying. He's giving this really annoying monologue about like, this thing's always been around, and it was around when the cavemen were around, and the dinosaurs stared at it, and blah, 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 blah. And like, it seems like he's kind of right. Like, if you consider the gem to be like a magical object, which I do in this film, I do sort of believe that Kevin Garnett is looking at like a record that the gem has recorded of the world, right? And the thing that it has in there, the thing that Garnett is seeing, are instances of like real, like back-breaking work. And while this character just prattles on about how he was able to send a letter to Africa and get this thing worth $1 million, which is the furthest thing from work.
Go through my look. Be careful. That's my best look. All right? I want you to look at it.
You really into
right
that
to
motherfucker.
Hey, look, is that the shit?
Yeah.
That's history right there. You understand?
How many carats is this?
What, 4,000 or 5,000 carats? $3,000 a carat? I'm not
What?
fucking bullshitting you.
Why's it got so many colors in it, man? What is this?
That's the thing. They say you can see the whole universe in opals. That's how fucking old they are.
Holy
I've been telling you. That's why I want you to see it.
I gotta have it.
Yo, that's crazy, man.
Right, now we gotta
Fucking from stone to stone. Garnett to stone. You know that. That's $1 million opal you hold, straight from the Ethiopian Jewish tribe. I mean, this is old school, Middle Earth shit.
Got a motherfucking dinosaur gym.
The dinosaurs, that's right. The dinosaurs fucking stared.
Okay, so I want to actually pin this to the board because I want to come back to one thing that we had just talked about prior to this. But the pinning thing is, what is it that attracts Garnett in particular to the gem? And you've suggested that it's something about the history of his people and this sort of coming to find a connection, a tactile connection to your people. And this is something that I do want to talk about because I think the other dimension of this that's important is that Howard Ratner and his in-laws, we have this extensive Passover dinner.
Seder dinner, yeah.
Yeah, and again, they're Jewish people who presumably are displaced. And there's this desire to sort of reconnect to the homeland, to your people. And Ratner at one point even says, blacks and Jews were the same people. Like there's this root core that we share, this sort of Semitic roots or whatever that he wants to, again, there's this desire to return to the roots. I'm just to pin that for a second because the other thing you mentioned before with the capitalist thing is the sense in which the movie might explain the current moment. And I think part of how it could explain the current moment is the idea that Howard Ratner, even though he's a fuck up and he's a piece of shit and he's rash and he's reckless and he's not someone we want to emulate if we were thinking clearly, is nonetheless an incredibly electric and exciting and engaging and watchable character. He's such a magnet for chaos, and that is fun. It's really fun to watch Howard. It's not fun to watch, Dina. Her life sucks.
How dare you?
In comparison,
Dina can still fit in her prom outfit. So
Dina's
she's
great.
doing great.
She's very,
Dina is like 6 months away from meeting the man she'll eventually marry and like having a wonderful, fulfilling life.
Yes.
If I may, Laura, if I may ask you, because when we last recorded this podcast together and I suggested, let's do Uncut Gems at some point. I love Uncut Gems. You maybe like shuddered or said, oh no, or something like that.
That sounds right.
Because it's an incredibly stressful film. How did you feel revisiting this in the middle of your busy life?
I did not find it as stressful as I did the first time around. I think I'm trying to remember where this came out in the pandemic. It was a pandemic.
No, it was pre-pan. It was December 2019.
Oh, so we missed it because our child was being born.
Yeah.
And so then we watched it in the pandemic.
Yeah.
Must have been. Okay. I associate it closely with the pandemic. Maybe there's that. I think like we watched it at
I think that makes a lot of sense.
In like a dark moment. And it felt like everything was spiraling out of control. The world was fucked and like Uncut Gems was not helping me, feel better about those feelings. Justin probably loved it because Justin was like, we should watch Contagion like in March of 2020. And I'm like, you are a psychopath.
I think Contagion, along with a lot of Soderbergh, is quite soothing. I think the Soderbergh editing, if you can get over the fact that it's about a contagion.
Sure, but why don't we just watch Ocean's 11 then, you maniac? But like,
great point.
But yes, no, I do hear you about that. This movie with the editing is not soothing. It just makes you feel like it keeps ratcheting it up. I enjoyed it more this time around because I knew it was going to be stressful. I knew what the beats were going to be. And I was just enjoying watching the chaos unfold. I was able to sort of like maybe take a step back from it a little bit. Although I did forget the ending. I gasped. When they finally get out of that locked enclosure because I really forgot that that's how this movie ends. In my head, he was like, yes, he wins the bet. He goes off into the sunset with Julia. Dina finds her own husband and is on New York Housewives, and everything is great. Like that's how I remembered it.
No, it can't end. It can't end any other way, unfortunately, for Howard.
I think if it doesn't end that way that day, it does end that way some other time. And I remember after coming out of Uncut Gems the first time, I was thinking about that. I was like, could you make a movie about somebody who's always, he's a little cockroach, who's always slipping out of situations where you show them get out and then context free, you jump to the climax of like their 8th movie and you show how in that one they got killed. They didn't get out, because like this guy, if he lives, he's going to get himself into
it's only a
more
matter
of
of
these.
time. Yeah.
It's only a matter of time. And I honestly believe that every Safdie brothers movie, or at least Good Time, Uncut Gems, and Marty Supreme, all have happy endings. You just got to look at it in a certain way. What's the happier ending for Howard Ratner?
No, that's right.
Than getting shot in the head so fast he can barely realize it's happening at his greatest moment of euphoria.
It's true.
Yeah.
This is the thing he wanted more than anything else. No, I think that's exactly right. I mean, tell me, Andrew. So, as a former addict, I mean, Howard is a gambling addict. It's very clear. I think. I mean, it's hard to, of course, diagnose from afar, but he seems clearly this is the thing that drives him, gives him the most joy, and he makes a bunch of self-harmful decisions to pursue that high. But how do you feel like the film portrays this? Does it ring true to you? I mean, I imagine there is something electric about being around addicts and also frustrating. And does Howard embody those two dimensions for you?
I think I've had a problem with the way a lot of films have shown addiction sort of in my younger years. And I'm no expert on like addiction cinema or anything like that, but a lot of movies will go, here's the story of someone who's, quite admirable or whatever, and they get hooked on something and it ruins their life, and maybe they get out of it and maybe they don't, but it's this sort of downward slope, right? And I think that's whenever movies do that, and I would include something like Leaving Las Vegas in that, even though I think that movie it at least has some perspective from like the Nick Cage character of like what he thinks he's doing and why he thinks it's good. But it is just sort of like an example of alcoholism being portrayed as like, and once you're on the train, unless you do something drastic, like you're riding that train to hell. I like that this film really shows why the addiction is pleasurable and why it's fun. And it's a hopeful and beautiful thing in the mind of Howard Ratner. The earlier, Justin, you said that he's making bets on wins and losses, but that's not true. He is only ever making bets about excellence that he assumes will happen. It's always worded as, and they'll get this many points, and KG will do this, and blah, 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 blah. Which once again brings us back to the theme of like, he's trying to make money off of other people's work, but he's like, this is like a hopeful, loving endeavor for him. And this movie completely conveys to me why, even though his life is continually falling apart, this shit hits often enough, that feeling hits often enough that I totally understand why he keeps going. And I think the ultimate climax of the movie, the fact that the movie could be solved right there in the room with him selling the gem and all of that, the ultimate climax of the movie being a problem he himself creates is sort of it's the test of like, does this movie work or not, right? Like, if that wasn't believable, then you just be like rolling your eyes. You'd be like, God, let me out of this movie. This guy's so stupid and annoying. But Sandler sells that so well. And specifically the scene where he's giving the monologue about, I sent the money to Ethiopia. This is, 50 grand's, 100 grand's 50 lifetimes for these guys. Like that whole thing. He's just, you remember that scene in your head and you're like, oh, there's all these great lines. This is how I win, right? But he never says them the way you remember. Like, he is underselling every single thing there, just like tossing it off. It's the most naturalistic, like, addiction acting I've ever seen, where he's just like, oh, wonderful, I've made the sale, and of course, obviously, now I'll be betting all the money.
Yeah.
Of course, we understand that.
Yeah.
Well, I like in that scene
What
how
other choice is there?
he sort of talks himself into it in that scene. So he doesn't, I think I read it as like, he's not, after he's making the sale to KG wants to know, hey, how much, what did you have to pay for this? Like, why am I paying what I'm paying, right? And then that's where Howard justifies it to him. And it's in the course of that righteous in a way justification of what he does, his labor, the value of his labor, which is like, I scouted the guys and I know about the various opals, blah, blah, blah. I had to work on this for months. I had to front the money. He says, he starts to work himself into a lather, and he says, it's the same as you. We're the same. It says, I'm not an athlete. Yeah. Like, it's like people counting you out. Doesn't that make you want to kill them? Right? And like step on his neck. And he's like, it's the same for me. Fuck those people. And then he's wrapped himself into a lather. At that point, he says, let's bet on this. That's when he decides, like, holy shit, yes, I've got to do this. He's got himself worked up. And I think you're totally right that like it's his manifesto that amps him up and then gets him to do this incredibly reckless thing, because Arno is right there. He's got the money that he owes him.
He could solve that problem. Don't know about those two older gents that
not sure about those guys.
I don't think those guys offer too much of a problem, but I will say, I will say that one of the things I love about this script, because this is I would never call this a traditional script, but this has more of like a understood structure than like Good Time. Good Time's just like these scenes are going in crazy directions. Where are we headed next? This is like the guy's got problems with the gem at the beginning of the movie. At the end, the problems with the gem end, and so do his life. Like it's a little more self-contained, but I do think that there are these really clever subversions of film tropes in this movie, where we look at like the guy that Howard has ripped off, that he owes money to, that he's given the phony watch to, that keeps showing up. I mean, who among us the first time we saw that movie didn't think to ourselves, I've seen movies, he kills Howard? But going back to the American Rage thing, who's the guy that's most dangerous living in America? Who's the guy in your life that's most dangerous? It's the guy yelling about how he's going to kill you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, Howard gets shot in the head by the guy who says in like the second scene, you're not going to be laughing when I'm shoveling dirt over your head.
Yeah.
Justin, when you said earlier that Howard is fun to watch, I agreed with you. I found that many people I show the movie to do not agree and just find him super annoying.
Interesting.
Laura, what are your feelings on the how sympathetic Howard Ratner is?
Oh, I think he's sympathetic. I hear what you're saying about ups and downs with Adam Sandler, but like one of my favorite drama Adam Sandler performances is Punch Drunk Love. And
sure, absolutely.
I mean, there's just something, even when he's saying the most obnoxious stuff, even when he's making the worst possible choices, even when he's saying things that are racist or sexist or hateful or whatever, like he's just like, he's Adam Sandler. He's gooey. He's a doofus. I love my favorite
no, gooey
scene
is his father-in-law.
Oh, excuse me, yes. My favorite scene is when he tries to get Dina back. Because he's mad at Juliet. He's kicked out Juliet. He's like, oh crap, now I'm alone. Now I got to try to get Dina back. Yeah. And she's wearing the prom dress. And he's like, look in my eyes and you'll know what I'm feeling. And she starts laughing because she's like, your face is so stupid. And
which I think that scene is crucial to understand how and why he dies at the end. So I had an ex-girlfriend who worked with, she was a BCBA. She worked with autistic children. And when I would show her Safdie Brothers movies, she'd be like, all of these protagonists are autistic.
Yeah,
that's like a lot of what they're dealing with. And she and I are still good friends. And when Marty Supreme came out, I was like, you won again.
Another autistic, absolutely.
Another Safdie autistic hottie. But in this movie, I think it's so crucial to have that scene where he talks to Dina and he goes, give me another chance. And she goes, I think you're the most annoying person I've ever met. Yeah. Because that tells us for all of his charisma and for all of his, like, he's a ball of energy, he cannot read people.
Yeah. Oh,
and yeah. I think that is the
he thought that moment was going to work.
I think that's the exact flaw that leads to him being like, well, I won the bet. No one could possibly be mad about this. Right. I'll be opening the door.
Well, he's an optimist at his core. I think that's the thing is he looks for the best in everyone, and he's often wrong. I mean, I think there are many redeeming qualities about Howard. So I'll give you a few. And so I think like just dismissing him as annoying or obnoxious or whatever is too quick, because he is he's gracious in a way that is not present in many of the other characters in the movie. So, for example, in that same scene right before, when he talks to Dina and they're at the house, he's at Gooey's house and Arno is there. This is when we learn that Arno and him are brother-in-laws.
Yeah.
Brothers-in-law. And Gooey is talking disparagingly about Arno, because I think Arno is not a Jew, and so he says,
yes,
he says it's like an intruder in your own home. He tells me happy holidays, like it's like he's wishing me Christmas or something. And Howard defends Arno. He says he's not bothering anybody. All right, he's trying. So he this is a guy who is,
you put him naked in a trunk.
Yeah, already done some crazy shit to him, and he's sitting there defending him. Here's another dimension of it that I think is again relatable in a way that makes Howard a sympathetic character. He has this sort of desire. He has this sort of conviction that like he can, have it all, and to some extent, so that he can sort of control the world around him, and the world around him is one which, partly through his own fault, is crumbling. And he's this desire to just kind of fix it, just to make it all right. And
he's like one bet away from being able to like feel like he can magic wand that.
This is part of the self-deception, but it's also other deception. He sort of wants to be Gooey in a way. Gooey's like the paternal figure who kind of makes everything okay. Just like brings everyone together. They all come over to Gooey's house for the Seder and all that. And everything is good and everything is calm. And even the two enemies can meet on Gooey's turf. And that's what Sandler wants. He wants to just be able to get everyone to get along. And he cannot do it because he's just, he has all these flaws. And one of them being that I think his deepest desire, the way I read the character, is his deepest desire is living on the edge of winning or losing everything. It's like, he wants to live in that space right in between there. And I think that's kind of characteristic of the gambling sort of addict ethos, is it's not about the winning, it's about the risking. It's about being in that state of maybe I'll lose it all. And I think that's his flaw, is that's what he loves the most. And it's caused him to be in limbo in so many ways. For example, he's in limbo between these two relationships, like Julia and Dina, that he has to sort of get, and that's not a satisfying and healthy situation to be in. But anyway, I think again he's trying to appease both sides for large parts of the movie, and failing.
I kind of do feel that Howard and Julia are perfect for each other. I think if two people who need thrills in that form, I mean, this is like Streetcar Named Desire type dynamic. This is like the brokenness is why we're here.
Yeah, I she's definitely ride or die. Like she
shows loyalty to him at the lowest moment, which is like he has accused her of cheating and then has rebuffed her attempts to
kicked her out of the apartment, threw a smoothie in her face,
done all these things, like treated her very poorly. I mean, he's upset, and she does not react with vengeance or any kind. She's not like bitter about it. Instead, she goes gets a tattoo of his name on her butt.
No.
Like
this is one of those movies, and I think this is in line with sort of older Hollywood, where this is one of those movies that definitely subscribes to a true love is just a thing, like a force in the universe. It has none of that sensibility that we have today as rational people, where we're like, love is a thing you do to each other, and you better be nice, and you shouldn't mistreat each other. Like, I do think that this script believes that these are like destined lovers tumbling through eternity,
tumbling through Howard's colon. Why
tumbling
is it
through the little bit of outer space that we all have right inside our face?
Yeah. So what do you have a thought on this, Andrew? Like, the film begins going into the jewel and exiting out of his colon. Like, there is this sense. I should mention too, the colon is clean. So he's good on the colonoscopy.
The colon is clean.
Yeah, he's deemed clean by his doctor. Again, there might be some something there where like he's a sympathetic character, right? He's flawed, but he's ultimately clean. But what is this about like going inside in particular that the film is doing here?
On a certain level, I do think this is just a screenwriting hurdle that they had to get over. I do think they just wanted to have, we're going to show the Whalo mine and we don't want to do like a hard cut to New York. We want to do something like a little more artful. And that might seem like a boring answer, but I have, as far as the doctor goes, I do think there's real relevance to the doctor giving him the colonoscopy, and the scene with the colonoscopy ends with the doctor going, wait, we have a little something here. It's a polyp, 2 centimeters. Let's get some biopsies of that. And then we cut away, and you're kind of left for the first half of the movie with like, oh, that's another shoe that's going to drop.
He's got cancer.
That's something that's going to come up. And of course, when he does get the phone call in the middle of that chaotic scene with the door not opening, and also Damani pouring the drink into the fish tank and all of that, the doctor's like, no, you're totally good, and you've been really good about looking out for this. And I think, if anything, this has something to do with like he is looking in the wrong places. Like he is trying to find like the thing that will bring him down or the thing that will stop him, and he's obsessing over the wrong stuff. He's like, well, colon cancer got my dad, it'll get me. But then he's like not worried about his obvious gambling addiction that everyone can see.
And
he's not worried about the fact that his son has it.
How is he raising his kids? I mean, I was thinking a little bit about, the idea of there's this connection between the gem and bellies, because of course the gem also shows up in the belly of a fish. And there, one of the things that we, if you think about like, well, also in the connection to illness, like the gem is in a way the polyp. Could it be, right? It's removed from the fish in the similar way that the polyp is removed from Howard. In the case of the polyp removed from Howard, it's benign, but the gem is not benign. I mean, the gem is this thing. If there was a physical manifestation of the gambling addiction, it's the gem. This damn gem that it just continually haunts him, and he screws up with again and again. The first thing he does with the gem, we didn't mention this yet, is he gives it to Kevin Garnett in order to exchange it for his championship ring, which he then pawns in order to make a bet on Kevin Garnett, a 6-way parlay, which we're going to talk about parlays in a second, and where he makes somewhere in the vicinity of, if I'm, if he did do $40,000, he would have made on that 6-way parlay $1.6 million, or somewhere in the vicinity of 1.6 million.
A bigger payout, I think, than the end of the film.
Yeah. I mean, that's if I ran. I mean, it depends on the odds of each of the picks within the parlay. So maybe it's not that strong. But anyway, the way parlays work is they're a bet on multiple distinct events that fails. You lose if any one of them loses, but you get a bigger payout because of that. So you get, the odds end up being multiplied together. So you get this much larger payout than if you had bet any particular one. And so I was just Googling around to try to figure out, like, if you had done a 6-way parlay, what would the odds be likely? And it was like 40-1 would be, like it could be in the vicinity of 40-1.
Well, the first part of the parlay is at least at the end of the movie, the first part of the parlay is him saying that they're going to get the tip. It's like, that's 50% right there.
50%.
Like, so you're starting at 50%.
Yeah. I don't know. I wonder about this. The gem is like, it's like the MacGuffin that is you want to get rid of. It's like, you don't want to get that gem. It fucks you up. I mean, I guess in KG's case, it empowers him. It's like the Infinity Gem. But
I think the gem only leads to success. Like when Howard essentially makes 3 bets in this movie. The first one is like off screen. The first one is that he borrows $100,000 from Arno to try to get an opal from a bunch of guys in Africa he doesn't know. So presumably he just put $100,000 in the mail. And that's crazy. But that actually does pay off for him. And then when he has the gem, he wins the bet at the beginning, even though he doesn't get to collect the money.
Yeah, he does win.
And at the end, he gives the gem away, which I think is his flaw, because he like loses the magic and then he gets shot in the head. But because Garnett has the gem and the bet's on Garnett, he still wins, right?
Yep.
So that's my argument for it being magic, but also like that's one of the things I love about this being an addiction story is like it's not saying and don't be a gambling addict because you'll lose.
Yeah,
it's saying and don't be a gambling addict because even when you win, you suck.
You lose. You lose.
You pushed everybody away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's right. You know, you're totally right. He wins every bet that he makes in this movie, and it's not just because he's lucky. He's good at what he does. He knows, he understands the dynamics, and he sees something. No, so totally, that's what I think is so interesting about the portrayal of the addiction here. Is it's like he's actually good at this thing that by doing it harms him, and that sucks. That's tragic.
I am a little confused as to his attitude about gambling, and I always have been confused about this because he'll say in the monologue with KG where he sells the gem, he'll say, I believe in you and I've seen your commitment and I've seen your determination and that's why I know you're going to win. But then when he locks the guys in the vestibule at the end and they're all freaking out at him, he starts going, calm down, like the refs don't want KG to lose. The refs want him to win. Like, and that has always confused me. I'm like, does he believe in a true sort of like meritocracy of sport, or does he believe everything's rigged? And which is he betting on?
Yeah, I don't know.
Here's the thing, I hit the bet big.
You think I'm stupid? You think I'm stupid? You think I'm stupid, Howard? You and your whole fucking family.
I'll call the book right now. You get on the phone with him, he'll tell you.
I saw the bookie. You talking about Gary?
You spoke to Gary about what?
About
what?
You. About how you're taking my money all over town, placing bets. You know what that does to me? Do you know how offensive that is to me?
What? You stopped the bet?
A friend of mine watched this movie with me one time, and she was like a very successful businesswoman, and she just had a lot of money, is what I'm trying to say. And she said, "This is stupid. This doesn't make sense that they'd be fighting over $100,000." I was like, kind of, yes. Like, yes, like, I mean, it's life-changing money for me, but like, I kind of get what she's saying. Like, a guy who can lend it probably wouldn't freak out over it in this way. But I do think that the Arno character and sort of the movie at large are just like really dedicated to posturing as tough and successful.
Yeah.
There's this amazing anecdote about the scene where they abduct Howard at the school play, where Eric Bogosian's sitting in the front seat and the rest of the actors are in the back, like roughing Sandler up, and he's having trouble getting his lines in, and he stops the scene and he kind of freaks out and he goes like, "Look, I get that you guys are improvising back there and you're having a great fucking time, but I have dialogue that I need to say." And Josh Safdie pulls him aside and he goes, if your character can't be heard over these guys, he's failing at what he's trying to do. Like, his whole thing is he's trying to seem like a big, angry, in control man. Like, he's trying to seem powerful. And so, like, you need to convey that sort of rage. And I think he does a great job of like showing how insecure this guy is, even as he's, trying to assert control.
Yeah, I think that's right. No, the money is not the issue. The issue is he feels like Sandler's humiliated him. And he
right. I mean, he says, what does he say in the car? You're laughing at me, you and your whole fucking family.
Yeah.
It's like,
exactly.
How does that make me feel?
Clue.
Yeah.
And how does that make me feel? Like, that is not what you say as like a cool mob boss.
Yeah.
How does that make me feel?
How do you think, you took my money around town. That made me feel bad. Yeah.
Can I also submit that the greatest line reading in the history of cinema is when they're getting mad at him about sending the picture of the money, and Sandler goes, "That was money that wasn't mine that I sent to calm you down."
I mean, yeah. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. He's insecure about his relationship to the family, to to his wife. His masculinity is being threatened by Howard. And Howard is this guy who, despite his flaws, is electric. And he's a hot young girlfriend too, who's at the apartment all the time. And his son's like, "Wait, is that mom?"
Yeah,
Hot
Dina
young-
definitely was like sending that son up to be
Scope.
like
To fuck with him. Yeah.
to fuck with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
To just be like, listen, we're announcing this divorce after Passover, after summer, whenever it is. Like, she's just like, let him find out who his dad is.
Yeah.
I don't care.
The Dina dialogue in that car scene is so funny because they've just had the scene where they're at the party and he does the "give me one more chance," and she goes, "You're the most annoying person I've ever met," and she's being so sarcastic for the whole car scene where he's like, "I gotta stop at the apartment," and she's like, "Kids, Dad's gotta stop at the apartment. Dad's got work to do."
She's so good at this. That's mostly what I remembered, actually. I didn't remember that Howard gets shot in the head at the end of the movie, but I do remember Idina Menzel laughing at him in his face when he's like, "Look at my eyes." And she's like, "Your face is stupid and I hate you."
I mean,
We should probably touch on the guys that kill him, eh?
Yeah, let's do that. So who are these aren't like big time actors, right? These guys have faces though. I mean, I don't know how they found
I'm
these
not
guys.
sure that Keith William Richards, who plays the guy that actually shoots Sandler, Phil. I'm not sure that guy had ever been in a movie before.
It's
He has
crazy.
since been in EFIS. He was in EFIS, and he was great in EFIS.
Oh yeah.
but
Okay.
He, if not a non-actor, he's not a very experienced actor.
Yeah.
And this is a thing the Safdies do with their movies a lot, which is that they'll take people really from the environment. Like, they have a lot of people in the movie actually work in the Diamond District, and then they'll take actors and they'll mix them together. And I've heard them speak on this before, where they go, everybody wants to impress everybody else. So the Diamond people are like, "Well, I'm gonna do a good job acting. I'm acting with actors." And then the actors are like, "Well, I'm with real Diamond people. I better give a good performance." And yeah, I think I love this character of Phil, who, like I said before, is just so viscerally dangerous from the jump and remains that way. Like, I just do think that's the world we live in currently, is like the loudest and most rabid seeming people are the most dangerous.
I mean, I think it's another case of this good intentions gone very badly, because I think Arno's face after that guy, I don't remember his name, whatever, the goon.
Goon number two, goon number one,
Goon
goon number two.
one. What's his name? What's the character's name?
Mm-hmm.
Hold
Phil.
on.
Phil. When Phil shoots Howard, Arno is as shocked as the audience is, and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, what the hell?" And then he's quickly shot. But Arno clearly did not have this kind of level of escalation in mind when he set out. All of this was just to scare Howard, to kind of reassert his dominance in their relationship, and that's that. But Phil is a lunatic, because that's the kind of guy that sells his services of being an enforcer. He's angry because Howard has mocked him for the runtime of this film effectively by not giving in to his threats, and so he's had it. And I think from that perspective, it's just, you're just like, yeah, we should have seen it coming all along. This guy is a short fuse, and Howard's been sitting there with a fucking flint and tinder lighting it the whole movie.
Yep.
And Howard doesn't see it because I think he just looks on the bright side of everything. But no, unfortunately, this guy he's angry.
Yeah, and he has said many, many times that he's going to kill him in various ways.
It feels like a guy for whom, the fact that you made him sit in a glass box for 2.5 hours is more important than the idea that he could get a cut of that 1.2 million or whatever.
Yeah, they
it's
throw
just
it
like
away. They're just
he's too that's too insulting to him. That like he doesn't even consider for a moment in that last scene, like, "Oh, we're rich." He's like, "Revenge time." But I like that about this movie. I like that it doesn't have, as much as I love a movie like Michael Clayton, right? I don't. I like this movie doesn't have like, oh, we hired goons and they're so fucking professional. You know, like these really are just like the guys you would get hooked up with if you asked the sketchiest dude you know where to find muscle.
Yeah. Well, everyone in this movie is flawed. I think, and that's part of the charm of the Safdies is that they write extremely flawed characters, but they're believably
But, like
flawed.
with love.
Yeah, they're believably flawed, but they're also written sympathetically. So you can see yourself in them. You can see like, yeah, I might have been angry in that situation and snapped and so on. And similarly, maybe you would have felt threatened if you were in Arno's situation. Especially if you had a lack of self-confidence. And so I just think like that's part of their abilities is as writers, is finding these very human dimensions of flaws in their characters and hewing to them closely and not skating around the flaws, but really the flaws are critical to what happens in the movie. All of the bad things in this movie happen because of the flaws of some of the characters. And that said, there's silver linings in there. There's Julie and Howard and her loyalty to him and his trust in her. I mean, he trusts her to put the bet. She could have just ran off with that money. I mean, he just handed her $160,000 or whatever. So there is that, like, there are these great moments of sort of connection and joy, but but the chickens have to come home to roost, and Howard's made too many mistakes.
So something I really like about that last scene is that from a filmmaking perspective, it always was massively shocking in the theater. Like the theater would gasp when Howard got shot, and I think it's just shocking in and of itself, but also the music that comes in when he wins the bet is like hopeful and maybe slightly melancholic, but it has this feeling of like, at long last we are at the end. And it doesn't change when he gets shot. It really is just like, this is how he feels in the moment, is like great relief. And I think it's one of the most jarring things I've seen in a movie is this sort of very, very light synth coming in, and it's like borderline soothing, and then a man gets shot in the head.
And because we're following the story of whether or not he's gonna get the bet. Excuse me. And this like really static, hot box, tense, coiled up scene, cross cut with Julia's escapade, which is very cat and mouse. She's like, we know that there's somebody there who's trying to find her, and she's kind of like literally ducking around, going into like Wayne Diamond's hotel room for a second. Like there's even a moment when Wayne Diamond comes out with the money, and you're like, what the hell? Like, did he somehow take her ticket and figure it out and bop her over the head? Oh no, he's just like bringing it out for her because she's like managed to get around the muscle. Like it's very exciting, and like when she finally gets handed that in the limousine, you're just like, this triumph. Like it all feels like it can't. You're so along for the ride that you're like, it can't go bad now, right?
I call that Wayne Diamond thing. When Wayne Diamond's walking out with the bag, I call that sort of a misdirect, a bad movie misdirect, where you're like, oh, is this a worse movie than I thought I was watching? Is there some twist about? Is there some twist about how he was evil the whole time, which would suck?
It's
like, no,
boo.
That's not the movie. The movie, I think, because I've been thinking a little bit about this, and as we were talking about, they succeed but they lose, and there's the striving. That's another dimension. Isn't it? We can put what's going on with Howard is that he's constantly striving. There's another bet he can make. There's another risk he can take, whatever. And the gem itself is this thing. And what is the gem? And the gem is this this connection to the old world. It's the thing that, just to go back to that powers Garnett. He sees his people in the diamond, he or the gem, he sees this connection. And I was thinking, if you put those things together, Howard is this person who has something, he's empty on the inside. So flip the thing I was saying earlier with the polyp and he needs the gem. The gem is the thing that needs to be on the inside. He's empty. He needs the gem to sort of fulfill himself. But the gem is not the thing that would fulfill him. What is the thing that would fulfill him? Well, the gem, I mean, not being a gambling addict, but wait, what would that be? I think one of the things that the movie is sort of positioning us here is that because the gem is this connection to the old world, this connection to culture, to history, to sort of a lineage. One of the things that Howard is sort of he's disconnected from that in a way. Like he has his own sort of surrogate culture here in the Diamond District, but that's a capitalist culture. That's just like get stuff and sell it for more money or risk more money. And there isn't like a culture in the way that Gooey has a culture where he has this tradition that, where they do the Seder and all that stuff. So I wonder if that's what the film is sort of suggesting is like, these more traditional, what you think of as traditional values, the family, but not even just the family. It just could be like a connection to one's broader social unit that extends backwards into history is part of what's like lacking. And it's part of what's lacking in this sort of society today where the sort of uber capitalist classes, seen as, well, first of all, they're not just seen as, they're new money, right? These guys are all new money. They're money that's disconnected from anything else. They just got money by risking, making some strategic bets early on in their lives. And, and as a result of being new money, they don't have like, they feel like they don't have anything they owe anyone. And I think that's the thing is like feeling like you owe someone something, like you have a history and a past that you're connected to that you want to uphold is like, I think important. And I think that's something that Howard is missing. And by contrast, Gooey has, and Gooey is a content character. He's kind of brought into Howard's chaos, but he doesn't really care. Even the money that he might have lost or whatever in this transaction.
He definitely lost that money.
Yeah, there's money that's lost somewhere.
Howard's
here.
Dead now. I don't know how he's getting that back.
That's right. But he doesn't seem to care. He even gives Howard the gem. Right? Remember, he's like walking out of the auction house with the gem. It's like, how can I get the gem? He's like, all right, fine. Just take it. I don't care. Like these things, again, the gem is like the poisoned pawn. He gets rid of the gem, right? It's like the ring of power in the movie, right? I'm sorry, I'm just using examples here of other things, but like he is like Frodo who can get rid of it. So he's cute. He's pure, Gooey. Whereas everyone else is just like, give me this fucking gem. I got to get my hands on it so that I can profit. Anyway, I'm just saying like, the gem is this evil thing. It's this felt need to put in place of the thing that's missing. What's missing in Howard? My suggestion is it's culture.
I believe the Safdie brothers have said that when he opens up the fish and sees the gem, that the oh my God, I'm gonna come line that they were trying to go for something along the lines of old Bilbo and the Ring. They wanted it to be like he was like super fucking locked in.
Like for real, or is that
in a demonic way?
Is that a joke or is that for real?
It's the reason I'm saying maybe is because it's like a much discussed thing, and I don't know if it's because the Safdies said it or it's just a bunch of people have made that observation
on the internet.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's corruptive. It's corruptive. It's not, again, the gem is the manifestation of the thing, but what's corruptive is winning a bet. That's what's corruptive. You can imagine like his first bet he won, that just fucked him over for his entire life.
Totally. I think, what you're commenting on, it feels like, is that almost everything in this movie can be seen as a metaphor for gambling, right? Like he is in a life situation where he has love for the people around him. Like, no, he's not a good match for Dina romantically, but he cares about her. He obviously cares about his children, even though he has trouble relating to them. And at some point he just thought to himself, I'm a successful business owner with a family and a wife, and like, could I have that hot mistress? And the whole thing about gambling ultimately is like not and also the stuff you already have, right? Like he did, and I think it's the trap he keeps falling into is he's like, what if I like became something even more, and he just won't admit to himself, like, but that jeopardizes what I already have.
That's right. Yeah. He's discontent. This is
You can always have a little more.
I know. This is like, it's like, come on, Elon, how much fucking money do you need? You know? Anyway, sorry to use
and it's
the
tough
Elon
because
thing.
Elon, he just seems like such a reasonable guy, and I'm like, well, how's nobody gotten through to him?
Oh,
You know?
my God.
I just feel like if I sat down and had a chat with him, we'd be best friends. He's
You
just
and
he's so
Elon.
charming. You got me thinking about Howard a little bit, about how he is this like expert in gems and all this stuff, and he's been selling gems for ages. He doesn't actually seem to have the boyish excitement of an enthusiast or a collector. Like maybe a little bit in that early scene where he's like selling the Furby, but he's trying to sell things, you know? It's kind of sad that like this could all be worth it if he like really loved gems. If he was really like up on it, if we saw him being like, what kind of gem can I buy? I love them so much. But it really does feel transactional as opposed to a labor of love.
I think that's exactly right. Andrew, this was really fun. Thank you for suggesting it, and also just having the opportunity to revisit Uncut Gems and I think reappraise it.
It's a masterpiece.
It is really great. It's really, really good. Do you have any last thoughts about the film?
Here's my last thought. It was something that someone posted somewhere online when Marty Supreme came out. Who would you rather have owe you $100? Connie from Good Time, Howard Ratner, or Marty Mauser?
I would go Marty.
You think Marty would give? Why Marty?
I don't know. Those other two guys,
they're like less chaotic.
Yeah.
He's the least chaotic of the three of them.
I think
like,
so.
Yeah.
What do you think, Laura?
I feel like Marty's only hurting himself. He's not hurting. Well, he's hurting fewer people around him.
Marty ends up.
The worst one to give it to is Robert Pattinson. That's the worst person of the three.
Yeah, it's gonna end up in like a weird like soda bottle of LSD or something.
The reason is Marty is at the end of the film, he's there watching his child, in the NICU, or wherever the child is.
I think I heard the secondhand too. So like, I'm not sure if it's apocryphal or not, but I also heard a lot of discussion about like Josh Safdie and the space between Uncut Gems and Marty Supreme, and like his feeling of like striving and then feeling nothing. Have you heard of it? Like, he said like he spent so long trying to get Uncut Gems made, right? That was the thing. That was like his big project. That was like, and he got the accolades for it. That was like, I think the first moment where people were like, oh, the Safdie brothers, they're making serious films. And he's like, and I worked. And when I got it, I felt nothing. Like I just like, it's like he's very much too, I think, like one of these sort of like a success addict or a workaholic or whatever it is, but like he's chasing that high that he's also not quite able to get.
That was Josh who said that.
Josh.
That's interesting because Benny's post Uncut Gems movie feels more like somebody who's inculcated that mindset, whereas Josh's feels like he's still in it.
He's still figuring
Marty.
it out. Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
But yeah, Marty Supreme is very much in conversation with this movie. And I feel like maybe it's definitely a more hopeful film, Marty Supreme, but it does feel like Josh Safdie's chewing on the same things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, didn't he get married and maybe even have a baby in between the two?
Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he's like, okay, like I make movies. That is like who I am. That's what I need. That's what I do. And also like maybe I need to attend to the other parts of my life, the other connections that I need.
But I think also becoming a father, he's kind of like going, okay, maybe a character like Marty Mauser can be kind of a piece of shit, but we don't shoot him in the head at the end. Maybe he can still be a good guy.
Maybe he can still care about his kid for one glimmer of a second. Like I don't have any faith that Marty Mauser is going to be there for that kid, but like he felt something in that room, and that's important too.
Andrew, let me ask you this. So, post Uncut Gems, the Safdie split, and we got 2 Safdie movies last year. I mean, what are your thoughts on Marty versus Smashing Machine?
Okay, neither of them hit as hard as Good Time or Uncut Gems. I think Marty, which I liked a lot, was it was a fun movie. It's a little too disjointed for me, and I praised how Good Time goes off in a bunch of unexpected directions, but every time Good Time does it, it's like, well, that's the next crazy thing in this thriller. Marty is like Marty's like, okay, we're at the ping pong tournament. Now we're trying to get the dog back, but someone shot us. It's just a little too all over the place for me. That being said, I regularly smoke the drug marijuana and watch the ping pong tournament from the end of the film.
The one where they have to, he has to kiss the pig and he doesn't kiss the pig. That one?
Yeah, I just watched the actual ping pong play, which I think is incredibly shot, and I think the score is like amazing.
Okay.
It's a fantastic 20 minutes of film. The Smashing Machine I had almost no use for, unfortunately. It really did not emotionally connect with me, and I thought it was sort of like awkwardly paced. I understand that it basically follows the structure of an existing documentary, so maybe that's not Benny's fault, but not exactly a Safdie Brothers joint, but I'm just going to go to the mats here for The Curse. Showtime's The Curse. The Nathan Fielder, Benny Safdie show.
Oh yeah, we haven't seen that.
That was that was some Safdie Brothers stuff, even though it was just one brother. That was some Safdie stuff I could absolutely get behind. I loved that show.
Okay.
We should watch The Curse. That's a show.
I got to struggle with Nathan Fielder, but I can try
I love
for
Nathan.
Benny because I love Benny. And I love when Benny pushes a lawnmower. I do want to ask, like, sorry, do you like watch this? Is this a comfort movie for you? Like, if you love it, if it's your favorite movie, what kind of mood are you when you put it on? Or, like, I couldn't probably, like, my nervous system couldn't take revisiting this, I think, more than once every 10 months.
It's interesting. You don't have to make this decision when your favorite movie is Uncut Gems because people know I like movies and they'll eventually just ask, what's your favorite movie? And I'll be honest with them. And then inevitably I'm just showing someone Uncut Gems once a year because they're like, how could that be true? I heard that's very unpleasant. I'm like, well, it is, but also it's quite poignant. And
I see.
So yeah, I basically am always showing it to friends, girlfriends, basically probably twice a year, I would guess.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you like
and that's enough for me.
Yeah. So it's you very rarely then it seems like it's sort of organically like, let's put on Uncut Gems on because it comes up.
I saw it
and
in
then
theaters 7 times. So
Whoa.
I tend to.
Okay. Wow.
Impressive. So I imagine you've seen it in all the formats, like 35, digital, IMAX.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if they did IMAX.
Absolutely.
Do they have IMAX
I even saw it
space?
on some, like Regal cinema screens that had a really bad bulb and it looked like shit. So I saw it in everything.
I mean, I do appreciate that they shot it in 35. The One a Trick's Point Never. So the score, what do you think of the score?
Yeah, I love the score for Good Time. This is not my thought, and I don't remember who said this to me, but a friend of mine once observed that the score to Good Time is a score about how the world is falling down around you, and the score to Uncut Gems is a score about how you're trying to pretend you have everything together while the world's falling down around you.
That makes sense, yeah.
And I think that's very well pointed. It's very well put. It's very like staccato, and it's very like, the energy of it is like, don't worry about me. Everything's fine. Everything's good.
Yeah. Your voice is going up a little too high. Yeah.
No, I am working out to the song that plays during the basketball game at the end a lot. That's on the workout playlist.
I got to put that. Yeah, I think I don't know if I have it on my score
Congratulations
list.
on working out a lot.
Thank you. I
humble brag.
I of course have no marriage, no children, no job. I'm really finding the time for the gym.
So buff.
You could be risking it all.
What will my future be like? We're not sure, but
Andrew, well, I know one thing in your future is the Authorized Novelizations Podcast. Tell us about that for folks who might not have heard of it or want to check out or are really interested in novelizations of films.
Incredible. So films, you've heard of them. They're on the big screen. They used to sometimes, pretty much all the time, hire an author to write a book version of the film that would come out at the same time. My podcast, Authorized, reads those and contrasts them to the films that they are based on. And we do pretty much any genre that you can imagine. So we got a lot of Star Wars stuff. We've got a lot of, what else do we have? A lot of Western stuff. You guys came on for Richie Rich.
Sure did.
And earlier in 2026, you can find a season that we did where we explored the novelizations of the Beatles movies, as well as a season where we took a little bit of a detour and read the novelizations of a bunch of video games to see what they were like.
Okay. Oh, well, there's a lot of... I did actually listen to a novelization with my son. I just remember this now. There was a novelization of the Minecraft movie. Not really? All the Minecraft...
We covered that on the podcast.
It was not... It was very beat for beat, I would say. Not a lot of
No, it wasn't good.
No, it wasn't. There wasn't a lot of creativity there, but my son did listen to it for 3 hours because, we were just anything that we could get for Minecraft content at the time. Do you have a favorite episode or favorite novelization, or are those things different?
Well, hold on. Let me before you answer that, Andrew, hold on. Let me just give the listeners a couple examples of episodes that they could start with.
Okay, because that's what I wanted to know. Where do we start?
Here's some. I mean, I'm just looking back not that far. You guys put out a lot of episodes, and you got Species 2.
You can take the liquor out of the addict, but you can't take the addict out of the podcast. It doesn't quite work.
Yeah, you got Species 2 by Yvonne Navarro with David Sims. You got Waterworld with Max Allan Collins with Bill Gabiri. You got now the one that that's not really part of the theme of the podcast, but I've been listening to that I've really enjoyed is you've got these one-shot RPGs you guys do with your friend John Goodman, who I was like, is that the John Goodman? No, it's another John Goodman.
As far as I'm concerned, he's the John Goodman.
He's the John Goodman, not the one listeners might know, but those are great. I have been listening to, having a great time listening to your D&D one-shot and your Star Wars RPG one-shot. Those were fantastic.
So I appreciate you checking those out. The podcast began when we were doing a movie trivia thing during COVID over Zoom. And the spirit of that sort of like gameness has remained in the podcast throughout the years. So at the end of every episode of our show, we have a game that was inspired by the source material where the people coming on never know what the premise is, and then they have to just like play the game and see what's up. And we've now expanded that into, because we did the novelizations of the Baldur's Gate games. We were like, well, Dungeons and Dragons is fun. It's
pretty close.
And so we said, okay, well, let's do some RPG one-shots. And John Goodman, our one of our rotating co-hosts, put together a Star Wars one recently, which was extremely fun and went in extremely unexpected directions.
It's fun. So folks should check it out. And as for us, we are at CowsPod on all the social media sites, including Instagram and Blue Sky. You can find us on the web at cowspod.com. In 2 weeks, we'll be talking to Emily St. James about The Shawshank Redemption. See you then.